Hello guys, how are you? Welcome to Amazon Academy. We are the best platform in India to prepare for NEET, IIT and CUET courses. So guys, today's discussion is going to be on adrenal hormones. Very important for exam point of view and also for our body. So let's get started. This topic is taken from class 11th chapter, that is chemical coordination and integration. In this chapter we mainly talk about hormones and the endocrine glands and their mechanism of actions, and also the disorders which can be produced either by deficiency of these hormones or by excess of these hormones. Okay, so let's get started. First of all, we should know what are endocrine glands. Okay, so as you can see on the screen in front of you, what do you see? Yes, you see kidneys. So these are the kidneys, and we have a pair of kidneys, that is two, right and left. On the top of these kidneys we have two glands. Okay, that's why they are known as adrenals. It is present above or in addition to the kidneys. So for kidneys we use the word renal. You must have heard about renal arteries, renal veins, so they are in context of the kidneys. So adrenal glands are present above the kidneys. Okay, now these glands are like mangoes. Have you eaten the mangoes? You must have seen the seed which is present in the center and then the pulp which surrounds it. Okay, so seed part, the inner part, is known as the medulla. Okay, so this is the inner part, the medulla, and the outer part, okay, this part is known as the cortex. Okay, why distinction? Because they produce different types of hormones. Okay, medulla produce different hormones like epinephrine, non-epinephrine, and cortex produce other hormones like glucocorticoids, like our mineralocorticoids. Okay, so this is adrenal cortex. They have shown the zones of adrenal cortex. Now adrenal cortex itself have three zones. Okay, the outermost zone you can see is zona glomerulosa. You can remember by a simple mnemonic of GFR. You know what is GFR? GFR stands for glomerular filtration rate. Okay, GFR. So the outermost zone is what? Zona glomerulosa. Glomerulosa. Okay, then the middle zone is known as the zona fasciculata. Okay, so the middle zone is zona fasciculata. Okay, oculata. And the innermost zone is known as the zona reticularis. Okay, what is the meaning of reticularis? Network. Okay, so these are the three zones of the adrenal cortex. Adrenal medulla don't have any zones. It is only adrenal medulla. Okay, so let's start our discussion. So our body has one pair of adrenal glands. This I have shown you. Okay, one on the anterior part of each kidney. Now gland is composed of two types of tissue. I have shown you. The centrally located tissue is called as what? Tell me guys. Yes, it is called as adrenal medulla. Very important. And the outside part which surrounds the inner part from all the sides, okay, it is known as the adrenal cortex. So first of all, you should remember inner part is medulla and the outer part is the cortex. Okay guys, so this is the image again I am showing you. The outer part is the cortex. You can see this outer part, and this part is the medulla. Okay, it contains the blood vessels, the arteries and the veins. As you can see, this blue color are the veins and the red ones are the arteries. Okay, we always use red color for arteries and blue color for veins as per the standards in the medical science. Okay, now adrenal medulla. Let's talk about first about adrenal medulla. Okay, this is the inner part of this gland. Very important hormones they secrete. Without these hormones we are unable to survive. Okay, so these glands secrete two hormones, adrenalines, also known as epinephrine, or noradrenalines, also known as norepinephrine. Together they are called as catecholamines. Okay, catecholamines. Okay, catecholamines. Okay, so question can come in exam, what are catecholamines? So remember, they are the hormones released by the adrenal medulla. Okay, now these adrenaline and non-adrenalines, you know, they are rapidly secreted in response of stress of any kind, like exam stress, family stress, work stress, or during emergency situations. So that's why these hormones are known as the emergency hormone or flight response hormones. Means either we are going to fight or we are going to flight, run away from that condition, In both the conditions can be considered as emergency conditions. So whenever our body is in emergency conditions, our body is going to secrete these hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline. Okay guys, so these hormones are very important for fight or flight response, that is emergency response. Okay, now these hormones increase the alertness obviously, so you can you can run away from the danger, pupil dilation, you can see better, piloerection, raising of hairs and sweating. Okay. Now both of these hormones cause, because we want to run away or we want to fight, so we want more blood, so we want to increase the heartbeat, increase the strength of heart contraction so that they can pump more amount of blood into the body, that is increasing the cardiac output, so our heart is pumping more blood into the body, obviously required to run away or to fight. Okay, and the rate of respiration also increase, so we get more amount of oxygen. Then catecholamines also stimulate the breakdown of glycogen. To run away or to fight we require glucose, and glucose can come from the glycogen which is stored in the liver. Okay, so it gets breakdown to form the glucose, and glucose, this is the most important substrate for the respiration. It is going to produce ATP. Okay, so this happens because of these catecholamines. Okay, resulting increased concentration of glucose in the blood. If there is less glucose, they can also cause breakdown of the lipids and protein to produce the energy. Okay, because body wants energy either from glucose or from lipid or proteins, the body wants energy. Okay, now let's talk about adrenal cortex. Now as I've told you earlier, this adrenal cortex is divided into 3 layers. Okay, we have zona reticularis, the innermost layer, zona fasciculata and zona glomerulosa. Now like the hormones of the adrenal medulla are known as the catecholamines, hormones of the adrenal cortex are known as corticoids. So we can have different kinds of corticoids like glucocorticoids, like mineralocorticoids, like sex corticoids. Okay, so adrenal cortex secrete many hormones commonly called as corticoids. Okay, so corticoids is the name given to hormones of the adrenal cortex, and catecholamines are the name given to the hormones of the adrenal medulla. Okay, so let's see about corticoids. Okay, now we have 3 layers, zona glomerulosa, outermost layer, so it produces mineralocorticoids. For example, aldosterone is the most important or most common mineralocorticoid. Then we have zona fasciculata, middle layer, it is going to produce another corticoid known as glucocorticoid. The most common is cortisol. Okay, cortisol, so they are producing corticoid hormones. Okay, the outermost layer produce mineralocorticoids, example is aldosterone. Middle layer is producing glucocorticoids, example is cortisol. Now the innermost layer, that is zona reticularis, the function of the zona reticularis, okay, are to store cholesterol for steroidogenesis, means formation of steroid hormones, and secretion of sex hormones such as estrogen and testosterone, but in small amount, because these hormone mainly comes from the gonads, that is testes in males and ovaries in females. Okay, now the corticoids which are involved in the carbohydrate metabolisms. Okay, so as you know, they are coming from the zona fasciculata. Okay, so they are coming from the zona fasciculata. Okay, so they are called as glucocorticoids, and the most important example of this is cortisol. Okay, cortisol. So cortisol is the main glucocorticoid. Very important question. Okay, now these corticoids, okay, which regulate the balance of the water and electrolyte in our body, are known as mineralocorticoids. Okay, so this is coming from the outermost layer. Okay, that is zona glomerulosa. This was coming from the zona fasciculata. This is coming from the zona glomerulosa. Okay, So these hormones, they regulate the water balance and the electrolyte balance. Okay, means they're acting on the minerals. That's why they are known as mineralocorticoids, because they are acting on minerals. For example, aldosterone is the most important mineralocorticoids. What it will cause? It will cause sodium ion reabsorption followed by absorption of the water. Okay, so there will also be water reabsorption. Okay guys, okay, then these glucocorticoids which we have discussed, they are very important. They stimulate gluconeogenesis. Now what is this gluconeogenesis? Neo means new, so they are forming glucose from new substances. In our body normally glucose is formed from glycogen, like I have told you, but suppose there is no glycogen or it has been used up, so what the body will do? Body will require energy. So in that case, fats and amino acids, okay, these are all organic molecules. They can be broken down into glucose. Okay, so this process is known as gluconeogenesis. Okay, gluco means glucose, obviously this means glucose. Neo means new, and genesis means formation. So they are forming glucose from new substances like fats and amino acids. Then we have lipolysis, simply breakdown. Lysis means breakdown. So this is breakdown of lipids to produce energy. Then we have proteolysis, again breakdown of proteins. Okay, it also inhibits cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. So those amino acids can be used to produce energies. Okay, so inhibit cellular uptake and utilization of amino acids. Okay, now cortisol is also involved in maintaining the cardiovascular system, that is our heart, blood vessels, and the kidney function. Very important role of the cortisol hormone. Okay, now glucocorticoids, particularly cortisol, which is the most important glucocorticoid, it produces anti-inflammatory reaction. How? It is going to cause inhibitory effects on the inflammatory cells like lymphocytes. Okay, so they produce anti-inflammatory reactions and they suppress the immune responses. That is the reason they are given in the allergic conditions. Like sometimes we have cold in the summer, known as allergic cold. So in those allergic conditions we can give glucocorticoids because they have anti-inflammatory. They reduce the inflammation in the body. Inflammation is produced by mainly histamine and serotonin, so they act antagonistic to those chemicals, so they reduce the inflammation and they also suppress the immune response. So they are basically given in allergic conditions. Okay, now cortisol also stimulates the RBC formation, which is known as the erythropoiesis. Okay, erythropoiesis. Cortisol is, it's a glucocorticoids. Okay, so let's talk about mineralocorticoids now. As we know, mineral means obviously mineral. So example is aldosterone. They act mainly at the renal tubule and they will cause, renal tubule is what? This is the part of the nephron which contains Bowman's capsule, PCT, leukophanae, DCT and collecting tubules. Okay, so this aldosterone, okay, it acts, suppose this is our nephron, this is the leukophanae, okay, this is the DCT and this is the collecting ducts. Okay, these are the collecting ducts. Okay, so this aldosterone is going to act here. Okay, aldosterone acts on the terminal part of the nephron. Okay, aldosterone acts here, and what will it will cause? It will cause reabsorption of the sodium ion. That means sodium ion is going to move into the blood vessels. Suppose this is the blood vessel and this is our nephron. Okay, so sodium ion is going to move here. Okay, from the nephron to the blood vessel. This is called as reabsorption. After that there will be movement of water also. So reabsorption of the sodium ion and the water, and excretion of the potassium means it is going to move from the blood vessel into the nephrons. Okay, So it is happens for potassium ion and the phosphate. Okay, so there will be excretion of potassium and phosphate, that is movement from the blood vessel to the nephron, and absorption of water and sodium ion, that is movement from the nephron to the blood vessels. I hope this concept is clear in your mind. Okay. Now mineralocorticoids also help in maintenance of electrolytes, obviously. Now this is going to affect the body fluid volume. If there are less electrolytes, means there is loss of body fluid volume. Okay, and these electrolytes also helps in maintaining the osmotic pressure and the blood pressure eventually. Now glucocorticoids, particularly cortisol, this we have seen. I guess yes, this we have seen. Okay, now last is our androgenic steroids. Small amount of androgenic steroids also secreted by the adrenal cortex. Remember, the innermost zone, zona reticularis, outermost is zona glomerulosa, fasciculata and reticularis. Okay, so this reticularis is going to secrete this androgenic steroid. Andro means male. Okay, so they plays an important role in the growth of axial hair. Okay, your armpit hair, your pubic hair and the facial hair during the puberty. Okay, so they are mainly acting on the hairs. Okay, now these hormones produced by the zona reticularis are weak male hormones. Okay, andro means male. Okay, andro means male. Okay, so they are the precursor hormones that are converted into ovaries into female hormones like estrogens, and testes in male hormones like androgens, but they are produced in very, very small amounts. So estrogens and androgens are produced in much larger amount by the ovaries and testes, obviously. Okay, so this is, see, these all hormones are coming from the cholesterol. Okay, so this cholesterol is converted by zona fasciculata into our cortisol, by the zona glomerulosa into the mineralocorticoid like aldosterone, and by zona reticularis into the androgens. Okay, like our DHEA, dihydroplanoandrosterone. Okay, now let's talk about some disorder. Okay, so excess of cortisol, that is Cushing syndrome. Cushing syndrome results from excessive production of the cortisol from the adrenal cortex, obviously. This may include weight gain, fatty deposition in certain parts of body such as face and below the back of the neck, known as the buffalo hump. Okay, now they will be thinning of the arms and legs because of the breakdown of the proteins and the fats. There will be purple stretching, and marks on the abdomen, facial hair. There will be fatigue, muscle weakness, easily bruised skin, high blood pressure, diabetes and other conditions. Okay, so as you can see, this is the buffalo hump. These are the red cheek, bruises easily, abdominal stretch marks, pendulous stomach and thin arms and legs. Okay, now second condition will be adrenal insufficiency, means hormone are produced in less amount. So adrenal insufficiency is a rare disorder. It may be caused by disease of the adrenal glands like primary adrenal insufficiency, known as the Addison's disease. So when the hormone increase, it is known as the Cushing syndrome. When the hormone decrease, it is known as the Addison's disease, or disease in the hypothalamus or pituitary. It can be because of any cause. It is characterized by the low levels of adrenal hormones. Okay, now symptoms include obviously weight loss, poor appetite, nausea, vomiting, fatigue, darkening of skin and abdominal pain. Okay guys, so in this session we have discussed about what are adrenal glands. These glands are very, very important. If you remove those glands, the person is going to die. They have two zones, the outer and the middle zone, inner zone. Outer zone is called as adrenal cortex. It is further divided into three zones: glomerulosa, fasciculata and reticularis, and the middle zone is known as the medulla. They produce epinephrine and non-epinephrine. So I hope now your concepts are crystal clear. So till next time guys, thank you very much and happy learning from Amazon Academy.